Afternoon everybody, welcome back to Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park for the latest in our Wednesday Facebook Live videos. We're continuing our alphabety theme this week, and we're up to the letter L, and L this week is going to stand for lemurs. So as you can see, we're currently in with our group of ring-tailed lemurs, and we'll probably spend 10 minutes over here with these guys, and then we'll pop over to our gentle lemurs and spend about 10 minutes with them as well. So we'll go and see both of our lemurs. Afternoon, Zena. Hope you're okay. Thank you for watching as ever. So yeah, as ever, guys, feel free to send in your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, I will ramble on for 20 minutes or so. So yeah, as I've said, we are in with our ring-tailed lemurs at the moment. We have caught them in their kind of afternoon siesta time. They've had their breakfast, and about this time every day they have a bit of a snoozy patch and they have a bit of a siesta. So yeah, they are all fairly chilled out and fairly sleepy at the moment. There's a lot of yawning going on, bless them. So yeah, just to start with, I'll talk about this our group. The two ringtails kind of up the top there, I'm not going to get any because I don't want to disturb them too much, are so the two ones up there are our two twin boys that were born here last year, who we still don't actually have names for, so we really need to get on with that considering they're nearly a year old now. Then underneath them is their half-sister Matty, who was born here about 7 years ago now. She's about 7 years old. And then on his own, just there on the pole there, is the twins' dad, Derek. So Derek's about 3 years old, 4 years old probably by now. He came to us from Chester Zoo a couple of years ago. And yeah, our little four live very nicely in harmony, which is good. There's a lot of yawning going on today, isn't there, guys, eh? A lot of yawning going on. Yeah, lemur life is the lemur lifestyle is definitely the way to go, Zena. It is definitely the way to go. So yeah, these guys are ring-tailed lemurs, as I say, and they are one of around about 110 or so lemur species that are found in the world. As with all lemurs in the wild, these guys are found on the island of Madagascar, off the eastern coast of Africa. And yeah, Madagascar is the only place you're able to find lemurs in the world. What are you doing? Nice bit of grooming there going on. And the twins are just going to push their dad off. Lovely. Very true, Mowgli. Yeah. So on Madagascar, they're the main predator of lemurs in general. Really, is the fossa. So the fossa is it's in a family called the Malagasy civets, but it's quite cat-like. Lives in the trees, arboreal species, much like the lemurs. Very agile in the trees, and yeah, that's the main predator of ring-tailed lemurs out in Madagascar. Hi Sue, good to see you watching today. Hope you're okay. So yeah, Derek and Matty there just doing a bit of grooming with each other. Hello you lot. Try and get them exposure a little bit better. Hi Tim, good to see you watching today. Hope you're alright. Yeah, so ring-tailed lemurs are probably the most well-known of all lemur species. They're the ones you do quite often see in captivity. You most commonly see in captivity. But even though, like I say, the captive population is very strong, they are classed as endangered out in the wild in Madagascar. As with pretty much all lemur species, they are threatened. In the wild, mainly due to habitat loss. Deforestation is the main issue that these guys face. There is a bit of hunting for like the bushmeat trade and the pet trade as well, but habitat loss is definitely the main issue for these guys. So yeah, ring-tailed lemurs, like I say, even though the captive population is very good, they are classed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. yeah, the majority of lemur species are they're at least vulnerable, if not endangered, if not critically endangered. There are a couple of exceptions. Can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are a couple of exceptions to that rule, but not many. And most of the lemur species that you find are threatened. Hi Annie Mae, hope you're okay today. It's a good question, Zena. I believe it's 13 black rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so with the tip, I think it's about 13 black rings on the tail. That doesn't really change between individuals, as far as I know. They've all got the same kind of number of rings. 1, 2. Lovely. Derek. Lovely. So, having a look at Matty there, Tim, with her tail up there in the middle of these three. That is, as long as the lemur tail grows, so it's about probably 18 inches to 2 feet, something like that. That's a fully grown ring-tailed lemur tail. Yeah, not considerably longer, but definitely longer than their actual body length. Sorry, I just moved. Sorry. Hi Judith, hope you're okay. Good to see you watching today. And Mary, hope you're all okay. Sharon as well, hope you're all good. So, striped tails. Completely honest, I'm not sure that anyone really knows about why the tails are actually striped. They use the tails for display, and they use them. Males will use them in things called stink fights, where they kind of rub smelly, secretions from scent glands onto their tail and kind of waft their tails at each other. So I think it is more a communication-y based thing as to why their tails are striped. Evolutionarily, I'm not sure how that comes about really, but yeah, I would say it's a communication thing more than anything else really. Lifespan, Judith, in the wild, 15 to 20, captivity 20 plus. They can get up to around about 30 years if they're lucky, but yeah, somewhere probably between 20 and 25 is fairly good for a lemur. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to come back to some of your messages. Hi John, good to see you watching today. Yeah, so a stink fight does look slightly strange, but wafting is definitely the word, Richard. So the males have got scent glands on their wrists. I'll see if Derek is going to be accepting. Yeah, buddy. Alright, matey, it's alright. So I don't know if you can see, just on his, can you see there, that little kind of black patch on his wrist there, on his right wrist? So that's a scent gland. So they'll pull their tail up kind of between their legs. No, you can't have the phone. You can't have the phone. No, you can't have it. Managed to zoom in on yourself, well done. So they'll pull their tail up between their legs, rub these scent glands all over their tail, and then two males will come together and they basically just flick their tails at each other. They'll face each other and flick their tails at each other. And it is just wafting that scent at each other, and whoever's got the best smell will win. So yeah, an interesting tactic, but it definitely works. You were all nice and calm and peaceful when I came down, and now you look like you want to cause trouble. As ever. Hey, as ever. So ring-tailed lemurs lemurs in general are primates, but don't call them monkeys because they're not monkeys, they are lemurs. They're kind of what would the word be? a not as well developed primate, as you see with monkeys and apes and things like that. So yeah, along with things like loris and bush babies and things like that, they are primitive primates, probably the best way of putting it. That's my leg. Hello, Matty. So yes, mainly herbivorous, Xena. They will eat a little bit of kind of animal matter, eggs and insects and things like that. But other than that, they are pretty much completely herbivorous. It's my leg, Matty. Good girl. Right, I think we'll leave the ringtails to it and we'll go over and see our gentle lemurs next. But you've put on a nice little show for us, guys. We will leave you be. Sorry. And yeah, we'll go and see your cousins, the gentle lemurs. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Right, I'm going to have to do some one-handed locking up here, so please bear with me. So yeah, like I say, lemurs are a very threatened species. Group of species. I think they are the most threatened group of mammals on the planet. Is it something like that? Can't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, I do believe they are the most threatened group of mammals. So they don't really molt, Xena. Being from Madagascar, where the climate's fairly similar all year round, at least temperature-wise, they don't really seem to kind of have a summer coat and a winter coat or anything like that. So they don't really naturally molt. So yeah, that's a good question, Tim. So ring-tailed lemurs are female dominant. So you've normally got an alpha female in charge who keeps everyone else in check. Yeah, normally you'll, especially with kind of captive groups, you'll have a male-female pair that are the dominant pair, and then everyone else is subordinate to them. So yeah, the girls are very much in charge in ring-tailed lemurs. Right then, we have made it to the gentle lemurs, and in a good old Blue Peter moment, I have cut some bamboo ready for them to see if we can get them outside. So it's not one I've made earlier, but it's one I've cut earlier at least. Yeah, just see if we can get them outside. Stay with me. Oh, I've done it again. I keep turning it around on myself. Did that last week. Right, there we go. Can you two? So, let's hope they come out to say hello. Are they having a snooze as well? I can see them both inside. Let's see. I don't know if you can see them up there. I'm just on top of the nest box there. So here are two Alaotran gentle lemurs, or Alaotran bamboo lemur, or Alaotran bamboo lemur. They've got a lot of different names, bless them. So these guys are a critically endangered species of lemur found in Madagascar, and they are only found in one lake in Madagascar, so that being Alaotran. When I say in one lake, around one lake. They live in the kind of reed beds around this lake. Pop inside and see it this way, because you're not playing ball with the bamboo, are we? So yeah, they live just in the reed beds and things around this one lake, which is obviously one of the reasons they are so critically endangered. And the main threats that these guys face is habitat destruction again. A lot of the reed beds are being drained for farming, for rice and things like that. So that is the main threat that you find with with these guys. They can't really swim, as far as I'm aware, Xena, which is a bit of a strange lifestyle, living around a big body of water. I think it's the biggest lake in Madagascar, and they can't really swim, so they do have to be very careful, bless them. But they are actually quite nimble. I mean, they do look slightly like big fat blobs, bless them, but they are actually very nimble, especially when moving through reeds and branches and things like that. So, unlike the ring-tailed lemurs, these guys don't really live in big family groups. They generally live in pairs or mother and offspring groups. So we've got a pair here. We've got Zoma, our male, at the back, who is shouting at me slightly, and Bozzy, our female, at the front. They're not as confident as ring-tailed lemurs, and they are, they're not quite as forthcoming as a ring-tailed lemur is. They very much do their own thing. And try and stay out your way. So as you can see, Zoma is slightly telling me with that little hiccupy noise he's making is just a bit of a warning noise. So I'm not going to get any closer. I think it's the phone more than anything. It's something a bit different. So like I say, these guys are a cousin of ring-tailed lemurs. They're like I say, they're in the bamboo lemur genus. Well, one of the bamboo lemur genuses, there's a couple. But these guys are kind of most closely related to the other kind of bamboo lemurs of this size, eastern and western lesser bamboo lemurs, and things like that, all of which are very much struggling in the wild. So that's a good question, Tim. So you can get interbreeding between differing species of lemurs, but they do have to be very closely related. So ruffed lemurs, so you've got black and white ruffed and red ruffed lemurs, they are very closely related. They're in the same genus. Up until not that long ago, really, they were actually thought to be the same species, and the red ruffed was sort of thought to be a subspecies of the black and white ruffed. And you can see interbreeding between them, not really in the wild as far as I know, but in captivity it has been recorded. Obviously it's not the best thing or the right thing to be breeding between species of critically endangered species, but it can happen with ruffeds, definitely, and I'm sure there's probably other quite closely related lemurs where it can happen. These guys and the ring-tailed lemurs wouldn't be able to. These guys wouldn't be able to breed with the ringtails we've just seen because they are too kind of distantly related. Right, let's just pop outside and see if they're going to jump on the bamboo. So, Caris, it's not really deforestation for these guys. It's more the draining of the reed beds that they're found in. You're going straight back in, aren't you? So these guys aren't really actually a forest species. They are just found around the reed beds of Alaotran in Madagascar. It is the draining of these reed beds for agricultural land that is their main threat. So it is habitat loss, but not quite deforestation. So these guys have got a different diet really as well to the ringtails we've just seen. These guys mainly eat grasses and reeds and things like that, whereas ringtails are more leaf eaters and fruit eaters and things like that. So we have to give different diets. So these guys get more grassy pellet-based stuff, and we tried to give them a bit more browse, such as the bamboo I've put outside for them, than the ringtails, whereas the ringtails get a lot more fruit and veg and things like that compared to these guys. We have just started actually giving these guys a bit more veg, kind of leafy veg, things like chicory, cucumber, carrot, celery, just to see if that kind of makes any changes to these guys. Right, you're going to stay outside this time. I don't want to have to keep coming in and out. I'm not going to get too close. So Xena, activity levels wise, these guys are kind of much the same as the ringtails. They'll be active first thing in the morning, waiting for food. They'll have their breakfast and then they'll go and sleep for the most of the day until they wait for their next feed. So yeah, they're very food motivated, food orientated. I think lemurs in general will eat and sleep, and that's quite most of what they do really. The ringtails, to be fair, seem to be more active kind of early evening, especially this time of year when the days are getting longer and it's getting warmer later in the day. It's it's definitely you see them as we're kind of leaving for the day. You see them outdoors playing around in the nice weather. Stop moving, you two. Right then, guys, feel free to send any last minute questions, because we have been going on for 20 minutes already actually. So yeah, feel free to send any last minute questions and I'll do my best to answer them. So yeah, we're hoping these guys will eventually breed at some point. They are both getting on a little bit now. I think they're 13 and 10 now, or 13 and 11 actually. So yeah, we're hoping that they might breed in the future. We did see some mating earlier this year, so Bozzy could even be pregnant now. I think if she was expecting, it would be the start of April, but we haven't really seen any signs. But it's hard to tell with these guys because, like I say, and as you can see, they are kind of fat, round, fluffy little balls. So yeah, it's hard to tell what's going on really. So we shall wait and see. Fingers crossed one day we get some little versions of these guys. Right, I'm not playing this game anymore. Last time. Not chasing you back inside again. Look. So Tim, normally lemurs will have 1 or 2 offspring. 2's quite common for captive ring-tailed lemurs, but in the wild generally 1. I think obviously captivity conditions being more favourable for them. 2 is possible, but yeah, 1 or 2 is the usual. We've had it before where one of our lemurs once gave birth to triplets actually. Unfortunately only 1 survived, because obviously they've only got 2 females have only got two teats to suckle on and things like that. So yeah, triplets really doesn't really work, unfortunately. Yeah, it would be cool if we could have some kind of webcams and things like that in some of the enclosures. Something we could possibly look into. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. That's a good idea, Stu. Yeah, we'll see if we're able to work something out with that. Right then, guys, I think we will call it a day because Zoma is still shouting at me. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in as ever. Hope you've enjoyed meeting our lemurs today. We will be back same time next week with the next letter, which is M. Be the halfway point of our alphabeti series. So yeah, we'll be back next Wednesday at 1 with the letter M. And yeah, hope to see you then. Hope you enjoyed today, and yeah, we'll see you next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye.